I believe you're aware that your father's accounts were completely drained before his passing, the lawyer stated, his voice smooth, his smile tight. The family gazed at him in disbelief. Empty? That doesn't make any sense. Their father had built an empire from scratch, property, businesses, savings. How could it all simply vanish? What the lawyer didn't realize was that the old man had meticulously planned for this moment long before he drew his last breath. And today, the truth was about to burst out, and the liar sitting across from them would soon regret underestimating this family. Welcome to Stories with Mr. Gray. If uncovering the truth and standing up for justice is your passion, hit subscribe, like this video, and drop your country's flag in the comments below. The heavy rain pounded against the windows of Whitmore and Associates, blending with the thick silence inside the office. The room smelled of aged wood, expensive cologne, and something else, something rotten, lurking just beneath the surface. Sitting stiffly on one side of the mahogany desk were the Harper siblings. Marcus Harper, the oldest, in his mid-30s, stoic and built like a rock. Danielle Harper, the middle child, in her late 20s, with sharp, protective eyes filled with skepticism. Isaiah Harper, the youngest, only 12, quiet but alert, clutching a worn brown envelope deep in his hoodie pocket. Opposite them sat Mr. William Whitmore, their late father's longtime lawyer, a tall white man in his 50s, dressed in a sharply tailored suit, silver hair slicked back, with a thin smile stretched across his face like aging leather. Whitmore leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers as if savoring the moment. I believe you're aware that your father's accounts were completely empty before his death, he said, voice polished, yet cold. Danielle's brow furrowed immediately. Marcus's jaw tightened. Isaiah's grip on the envelope grew tighter. Empty? Their father, Richard Harper, who had spent 40 years building wealth, owning rental properties, successful businesses, farmland, was now suddenly penniless. It didn't add up, couldn't be. That's impossible. Marcus spoke first, his voice low but steady. Our father was wealthy. He worked his entire life to secure our future. Whitmore sighed theatrically, pulling out a thick folder from his briefcase and sliding it across the desk with deliberate slowness. I'm afraid poor investments, unexpected debts, legal fees, these things happen. Over time, everything diminishes. Danielle leaned forward sharply, suspicion evident in her eyes. Funny, considering he was still collecting rent from 3 properties last month, and he had accounts with 3 banks, not one. Whitmore's eyes briefly flashed with a crack of emotion before quickly masking it behind a placid smile. Sometimes, appearance bigger fool than I thought. Whitmore laughed coldly. You won't be around to see it, old man. The screen froze, capturing Whitmore's smug face perfectly. Isaiah's fists clenched. He had everything. Proof of racism, fraud, betrayal. Everything was right here. And now it was time to finish what his father started. Quickly, Isaiah unplugged the flash drive, tucking it deep into his pocket. His heart hammered, but he forced himself to walk back toward Mr. Whitmore's office with a steady pace. No rushing, no giveaways. He quietly opened the door and slipped back into his chair. Across the desk, the battle was intensifying. Marcus was standing now, towering over Whitmore's desk, face tight with controlled rage. Danielle sat back, arms crossed, staring at Whitmore as if she could see straight through him. Whitmore wiped the corner of his mouth with a silk handkerchief, hiding the slight tremor in his hand. Mr. Whitmore, Marcus said, voice dangerously low, you're asking us to sign settlement documents without showing us the original will, detailed statements, or an independent audit of my father's assets. That's not standard practice. Whitmore lied smoothly. The longer you delay, the more fees you'll rack up. Best to close the estate quickly before any further debts surface. Danielle leaned in, her tone calm but sharp. You mean before we find out you're lying? Whitmore's eyes flickered again. Losing his grip, he knew it. Marcus dropped the papers onto the floor. We're not signing anything, he growled. Not today, not ever. Isaiah shifted in his seat, feeling the burn of the flash drive in his pocket. It was time. He looked at Danielle, giving her a subtle nod, the silent signal only siblings understand. Danielle smiled faintly. Actually, Mr. Whitmore, she said sweetly, We have something to present before we leave. Whitmore raised an eyebrow. And what might that be? Marcus reached over and pulled the receptionist's laptop closer. Isaiah moved swiftly, pulling out the flash drive and plugging it into the side. Whitmore stiffened instantly. His hand twitched toward the papers, maybe to call security or to make a last-ditch excuse. But Marcus's voice cut him off sharply. Don't move! Isaiah clicked on the single video file. The room filled with the crackling sound of the recording. Whitmore's own voice echoed, Come on, Richard. You and I both know the others won't know what's missing. Leave it all to me. I'll handle it discreetly. Whitmore's face turned ghostly pale. The video played louder now. Unstoppable. A man like you doesn't want the wrong people getting your wealth, now does he? Marcus's fist curled. Danielle's mouth was a thin, tight line of rage. Isaiah stared at Whitmore, unblinking. The final crushing line played. You won't be around to see it, old man. Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. Whitmore sat frozen like a statue on the verge of cracking. Isaiah finally spoke for the first time. His voice was soft, but every word carried the force of a hammer. Dad knew you'd try to steal from us, and he trusted me to make sure you didn't get away with it. Whitmore swallowed hard. His polished confidence shattered completely. You have no idea what you're doing, he stammered. You don't know how this works. Marcus leaned across the desk, cutting him off. Oh, we know exactly how this works now. Danielle pulled out her phone, already dialing. And so will the police, she said coldly. Whitmore's mouth opened, but no words came out. He had been caught, outsmarted by a 12-year-old boy. The office door burst open loudly, startling everyone. It wasn't security nor a secretary. It was Sheriff Mitchell, a tall, broad black man in full uniform, flanked by 2 deputies. His arrival wasn't accidental. Marcus had discreetly called him while Isaiah played the recording. Whitmore's face drained of color. William Whitmore, the sheriff said calmly, pulling a folded paper from his jacket. You're under investigation for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to defraud the Harper estate. Whitmore jolted up, stammering. This is ridiculous. This is a misunderstanding. I'm their legal representative. Sheriff Mitchell didn't blink anymore. He nodded to his deputies, who moved swiftly behind Whitmore, securing his wrists with silver cuffs. You can't do this, Whitmore barked, struggling. They're lying. They set me up. The sheriff leaned in close, his voice low. We've got your voice admitting it, Mr. Whitmore. On tape. Under law, you just confessed. Outside the law office, news spread quickly in the small town. As Whitmore was led out in handcuffs, clients in the reception area gasped and whispered. Several recorded every humiliating second on their phones. Danielle turned to Marcus and Isaiah, her voice fierce but proud. Dad trusted us to protect his legacy. We just did. Marcus looked at Isaiah, ruffling his hair roughly but affectionately. Especially this little man, he said. Isaiah. Fear flickered behind his pale blue eyes, and Isaiah knew it was time. The air in Mr. Whitmore's office had turned ice cold. Marcus and Danielle exchanged silent looks, both sensing it now. This wasn't incompetence. It was a setup. Whitmore forced a cough, shuffling papers again, desperate to regain control. Perhaps we should reconvene another day, he suggested, reaching for new documents. But Isaiah wasn't paying attention anymore. While the adults argued, his small fingers carefully slipped the worn brown envelope from his hoodie. He looked down at it, heart pounding, written across the front in his father's thick handwriting, only open if you can't trust them. Isaiah hesitated for just a second, then tore the envelope open under the table, shielding it from view. Inside were 2 things, a small flash drive and a handwritten note from his father, folded neatly into thirds. Isaiah unfolded the paper quickly, scanning the familiar handwriting. The letter read, Son, if you're reading this, it means I was right not to trust Mr. Whitmore. You hold the proof now. Everything you need is on the drive. Protect your brother and sister. Bring the truth to light. I love you always. Dad. Isaiah clutched the note tightly, swallowing hard. His father had known. He had predicted this betrayal. And he had trusted Isaiah, just 12 years old, to be the one to fix it. Isaiah slipped the flash drive into his pocket, mind racing. He needed a computer. He needed to see what was on it now. Across the desk, Whitmore was pushing more papers toward Marcus and Danielle, words flowing faster, almost desperate now. Just some formalities, he insisted, just signatures to make everything official. Marcus slammed his hand on the desk, rattling the folders. "We're not signing anything until we review every document ourselves," he said sharply. Danielle suddenly stood up. "Isaiah, why don't you step out for a moment?" she said softly but urgently. Isaiah nodded quickly and hurried out of the room, clutching the flash drive like it was gold. In the hallway, he spotted the receptionist's Emmy desk, a laptop open and unattended. His heart thundered. No one was watching. He rushed over, pulled the flash drive from his pocket, and plugged it into the USB port. The screen blinked once, then a single video file appeared. Confidential Whitmore meeting, 2 weeks before death. Isaiah's hands trembled as he clicked play. The screen flickered, showing a grainy recording. There in his father's study sat Mr. Whitmore, smirking, leaning back in a leather chair, speaking with ugly certainty. "Come on, Richard," Whitmore said casually. "You and I both know the others won't know what's missing. Leave it all to me. I'll handle it discreetly. No questions asked. A man like you doesn't want the wrong people getting your wealth, now does he?" Isaiah's stomach twisted. His father's calm but firm voice responded. "If you think I'll let you steal from my children because of their skin color, you're—" Her voice fierce but proud. "Dad trusted us to protect his legacy. We just did." Marcus looked at Isaiah, ruffling his hair roughly but affectionately. "Especially this little man," he said. Isaiah beamed, a rare smile breaking across his usually serious face. For the first time in weeks, he didn't feel small. He didn't feel helpless. He felt like he had done exactly what his father believed he could. The one thing that mattered most, protecting his family. Later that evening, the siblings gathered around the old wooden kitchen table where their father once sat. The flash drive rested in the center like a relic. The inheritance was safe. The businesses, the properties, the savings accounts, all rightfully theirs again. More importantly, their father's name and trust had been preserved. Isaiah unfolded the letter again, fingers tracing the faded ink. Marcus placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "You made him proud, Isaiah," he said quietly. Danielle nodded. "You made us all proud." Outside, the rain had stopped, and a bright orange sunset stretched across the sky, signaling new beginnings, renewed strength. Though still healing from the loss, the family knew they would carry their father's spirit into everything that lay ahead. Sometimes the greatest battles aren't fought with fists or guns. They're fought with truth, loyalty, and faith in the ones who love you most. Isaiah hadn't just protected his family's future. He had honored his father's legacy in the most powerful way, standing up for what was right, even when no one else believed he could. And always remember, no matter how strong the lies seem, the truth will always have the final word. If you felt the power of Isaiah's story, if you believe in fighting for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you, then be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story of courage, family, and justice. And tell us in the comments, have you ever had to stand up for the truth when no one else would? We want to hear your story.